The hangar was a huge space filled with starships, cargo, and busy pilots running in every direction. Suddenly, a piercing scream echoed through the vast hall. "They hurt my dragon mom," a young girl shouted, her voice sharp and filled with panic. The humans and aliens inside froze for a moment, staring at the small figure rushing toward them. Her eyes glowed a soft amber and tiny scales ran along her arms and neck, glinting under the hangar lights. She was a hybrid, part human, part dragon, and her presence commanded attention. The girl's name was Leora. She ran past startled pilots, her feet moving quickly across the metal floor. Her heart pounded and tears streaked her freckled face. "I can't believe they dared to touch her," she cried. The pilots hesitated, unsure what to do, but the fear and urgency in her voice made them act. One of the senior pilots shouted, "Get your weapons. Follow her." Leora led them through the maze of starships, pointing toward a side hangar she had been guarding earlier. "This way," she shouted, glancing over her shoulder. The pilots followed closely, moving fast but careful, trusting her knowledge of the hangar. Her senses were sharp, part human curiosity, part dragon instinct, and she could feel danger long before anyone else could. Her hybrid instincts told her exactly where the intruders had gone and how they were moving. As they approached the side hangar, smoke and sparks filled the air. The smell of burning metal and ozone stung Leora's nose. She stopped abruptly and crouched behind a stack of crates. "They're inside," she whispered. The pilots peered around her, seeing the silhouettes of several figures restraining a massive creature. The dragon mother, her scales shimmering like molten silver, was tied with glowing restraints and struggling against them. Even in her weakened state, she looked fierce, her eyes blazing with anger and fear. Leora's chest tightened. "I won't let them hurt her anymore," she said, her voice steady despite the tears. The pilots exchanged glances. They had faced dangerous enemies before, but this was different. The dragon was enormous and powerful, and Leora, though young, seemed to know exactly how to handle the situation. One pilot muttered, "She knows it's a trap, but she's fearless." Without hesitation, Leora stepped out from behind the crates, her small frame standing tall. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice echoing in the hangar. The intruders turned, momentarily startled by the intensity of her glare. Her hybrid aura radiated a strange energy, part human courage, part dragon presence, that made the attackers pause. The dragon mother roared in response, a sound that shook the metal beams above them. Sparks flew as the restraints held her, but the roar was a warning to all who dared approach. The pilots used this moment to position themselves strategically. They raised their weapons, aiming at the intruders, ready to charge. Leora's amber eyes scanned the area, calculating their positions and the dragon's movements. She moved with purpose, guiding the pilots quietly. "To the left," she whispered. "Distract them while I get closer." The pilots obeyed, firing warning shots and creating chaos to divert the attackers' attention. Leora ran toward the dragon mother, careful to avoid sparks and debris. Her small claws dug into the floor for balance, and her tail swished behind her, giving her extra stability. She reached the restraints and began working on the glowing chains, her hybrid strength and dexterity helping her manipulate the strange alien technology. "Hold on, Mom. I'm here," she whispered urgently. The dragon mother's eyes softened when she saw her daughter. Even in pain, she could sense the bravery radiating from Leora. "Leora, you shouldn't be here," she said, her voice low but strong. "I had to," Leora replied, her determination unwavering. "I won't let them hurt you." She tugged and twisted at the restraints, sparks flying as the alien technology resisted. The attackers noticed her and moved to stop her, but the pilots intercepted, engaging in a fierce struggle. One of the attackers lunged at Leora, but she ducked swiftly, her hybrid reflexes allowing her to dodge with ease. She let out a small roar, startling him, and he stumbled backward. The pilots took advantage of the moment, pushing the attackers back. Leora's heart raced. Every second counted. She needed to free her mother before the enemies regained control. Her fingers worked quickly, and with a final twist, the glowing chains snapped. The dragon mother shook off the last of the restraints, her massive wings unfurling, sending gusts of wind through the hangar. The intruders froze, overwhelmed by the sight of the fully free dragon and the small hybrid girl standing fearlessly before them. Leora's courage seemed to amplify the dragon mother's strength. Together they were unstoppable. Sparks and smoke swirled around them as the hangar became a battlefield, but for a moment, Leora and her mother shared a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. They were united, stronger than any threat that dared approach. The pilots rallied, charging into the hangar alongside Leora. Their weapons fired, but they moved with precision, following her directions. She pointed and shouted, guiding their attacks. Left flank. Cover the entrance. The attackers were caught off guard, unable to predict the hybrid girl's strategy. Her instincts, part dragon and part human, allowed her to anticipate movements and coordinate the pilots with startling accuracy. As the attackers began to retreat, Leora ran to her mother's side, wrapping her small arms around the massive dragon's neck. "We're okay now," she said, tears of relief streaming down her face. The dragon mother nuzzled her daughter gently, a deep rumble of approval escaping her throat. The pilots cheered quietly, recognizing the bravery of the girl who had led them into victory. The hangar settled into an uneasy quiet. Smoke rose from damaged ships, and sparks continued to flicker from broken panels. Leora held her mother tightly, whispering, "I won't let anyone hurt you again." The dragon mother's eyes glowed warmly, filled with pride and gratitude. "You were incredible, Leora," she said. "You saved me and you guided the others. I am proud of you." Outside, the sounds of the retreating attackers faded into the distance. Leora stood tall, still trembling from adrenaline but resolute. The pilots gathered around, looking at her with newfound respect. She was young, hybrid, and small compared to the massive dragon and experienced soldiers, yet her courage and intelligence had turned the tide of battle. In that moment, Leora realized something important. Being part human and part dragon gave her abilities others lacked, but it was her heart, determination, and refusal to back down that had made the real difference. The hangar, once a place of fear and chaos, now echoed with the promise of human bravery and hybrid ingenuity. As the twin moons rose above the hangar's skylights, Leora and her dragon mother shared a quiet moment. The pilots stood nearby, keeping watch, but the danger had passed, for now. Leora whispered, "We will face whatever comes next together." Her mother rumbled softly in agreement. The bond between them was stronger than ever, and nothing, not even the deadliest attackers, could break it. The hangar was still, but the story had only just begun. Leora, the hybrid girl, had shown that courage, intelligence, and heart could inspire even the strongest pilots and turn the tide against overwhelming odds. And as she looked around at her mother and the pilots, she knew that together, they could face any challenge the galaxy threw at them. The hangar shook with the sound of alarms as the attackers regrouped. Leora stood beside her dragon mom, her small frame brimming with determination. The dragon's massive wings flexed, sending gusts of wind through the hall, and her scales glimmered under the lights. Sparks from damaged panels flickered across the metal floor. Leora's amber eyes glowed as she scanned the area, noticing the enemies preparing new weapons. "Mom, we have to stop them now," she shouted. The pilots, armed and ready, moved into position. Leora ran ahead, guiding them with hand signals and sharp commands. Despite her age, her hybrid instincts allowed her to see openings the humans could not. One of the intruders aimed a glowing energy rifle at her dragon mom, and Leora shouted, "Left! Left!" The dragon lunged, swiping a massive claw, knocking the weapon aside. Sparks flew, and the attacker fell back, stunned by the power and speed of the creature. The battle erupted. The hangar became chaos, with flashes of energy, loud roars, and clashing metal. Leora darted between crates and pillars, her small claws digging into the floor for balance. She leaped onto a railing, landing behind a group of attackers. With a swift motion, she hurled a metal rod, knocking one of their devices out of commission. The pilots followed her lead, firing at the enemies while avoiding the dangerous energy bursts. The dragon mom roared, a deep, powerful sound that shook the entire hangar. Her wings beat strongly, sending debris flying and creating temporary cover for the pilots. Leora climbed onto her mother's back, feeling the strength beneath her. "Let's end this," she shouted. The dragon reared up, knocking over several attackers at once. Leora used the moment to guide the pilots, pointing toward attackers hiding behind equipment. "Focus here. Now!" she yelled, and the humans acted instantly, disabling several more enemies. One of the intruders tried to flank them from the right side, holding a strange energy whip. Leora noticed it first, her dragon senses alert. "Right side. Watch the whip," she warned. The dragon mom spun, swinging her tail with precision, knocking the intruder off balance. The pilots seized the opportunity, charging forward to capture the remaining attackers. Leora moved with them, agile and fearless, her small size allowing her to slip through narrow spaces and confuse the enemies. The attackers began to panic as their carefully planned assault fell apart. Leora spotted the leader, a tall figure with glowing armor trying to direct the others. "We take him down and they'll scatter," she shouted. The pilots nodded, coordinating their movements as Leora guided them toward the enemy leader. Using a combination of signals, shouted commands, and her hybrid agility, she led a precise strike. The Dragon Mom charged forward, creating a powerful barrier, while the pilots surrounded the leader from all sides. The leader tried to resist, firing energy blasts, but Leora's quick thinking saved them. She ducked behind a pillar and threw a heavy piece of debris, causing a distraction. The Dragon Mom lunged at the leader, pinning him to the ground. The pilots quickly restrained the remaining attackers, securing the hangar. Sparks and smoke filled the air, but the battle was won. Leora jumped down from her mother's back, breathing heavily but smiling. "We did it," she shouted. The hangar was quiet again, except for the labored breathing of the dragon and the hum of machinery. The pilots gathered around Leora and her mother, eyes wide with respect. "I've never seen coordination like that," one pilot said. "A human child guided us through a battle with a full-grown alien dragon. Incredible." Leora blushed but felt proud. She had been scared, yes, but fear had turned into action, and her hybrid instincts had given the pilots the edge they needed. The Dragon Mom lowered her massive head, nuzzling Leora gently. "You were amazing," she said in a rumbling voice. "Your courage, your speed, your mind, you guided everyone perfectly." Leora hugged her tightly, feeling the warmth of her mother's scales beneath her arms. "I couldn't have done it without you," she whispered. "We are a team, Mom. Always." The pilots watched, impressed not just by the dragon's power, but by the bond between the hybrid girl and her mother. Damage was everywhere. Crates were smashed, panels hung loose, and sparks continued to flicker from broken machinery. Yet the hangar felt safe for the first time since the attackers arrived. Leora ran among the pilots, helping them secure any remaining weapons the intruders had left behind. "Check that corner. Over there," she called out, her voice confident. The pilots obeyed, realizing that Leora's guidance had turned chaos into strategy. One pilot, still catching his breath, asked, "How did you know what to do?" Leora smiled faintly, brushing a lock of hair from her glowing eyes. "I could feel what was coming. Mom's instincts, mine too. We could sense them before they moved. You just had to follow us." The pilot nodded slowly, realizing that courage and instinct together were more powerful than technology alone. The Dragon Mom spread her wings, testing her strength now that she was free from the restraints and able to fight again. The air rushed through the hangar, shaking loose sparks from the ceiling lights. Leora stood at her mother's side, small but fierce, feeling unstoppable. She had faced fear and chaos and had led not only her mother but an entire group of trained pilots to victory. As the last attackers were restrained and the hangar quieted, Leora looked around. The pilots were exhausted, but their faces held admiration. The Dragon Mom lowered her head to nuzzle Leora once more. "You are not just human, Leora. You are dragon too. And that makes you stronger than anyone imagined." Leora felt a surge of pride, knowing that her hybrid heritage and courage had made all the difference. Night fell outside the hangar, and the twin moons cast pale light through the skylights. Leora sat beside her mother, exhausted but exhilarated. Sparks flickered softly around them, like tiny stars in the aftermath of battle. The pilots cleaned their weapons and checked the ship systems, glancing occasionally at the girl who had changed the outcome of the fight. Leora rested her head on her mother's massive neck, whispering, "We did it, Mom. They won't hurt you again." Her mother rumbled in agreement, wrapping a wing around her protectively. "No one will, my daughter. Not as long as we are together." The pilots smiled quietly, understanding that this was more than a rescue, it was a lesson. Bravery, intelligence, and the bond between human and dragon could overcome even the deadliest enemies. Leora knew that this was only the beginning. There would be more dangers in the galaxy, more battles to fight. But for now she had proven that humans, even a small hybrid child, could be an unstoppable force when courage and instinct combined. She stood, ready to face whatever came next, her amber eyes glowing with determination. The Dragon Mom flexed her wings and together they were unstoppable, a team no one could underestimate. The hangar, once filled with fear and chaos, now echoed with hope and triumph. Leora had led, her instincts guided, and her courage inspired. Humanity's edge, combined with dragon strength, had won the day. And as the pilots looked on, they knew that they had witnessed something extraordinary, a hybrid girl showing the galaxy that bravery and heart could outmatch any foe. The hangar was quiet now, but Leora knew the battle wasn't over. The attackers had been pushed back, but some were still alive, hiding, waiting for a chance to strike again. Her amber eyes scanned every corner, every shadow. Her dragon mom, though tired, stood tall, wings flexed and tail swishing. Leora placed her small hand on her mother's scaled neck. "We have to be ready. They'll try again," she whispered. The dragon rumbled softly, acknowledging the warning. The pilots gathered around, checking their weapons and supplies. One of them, a tall woman named Mara, looked at Leora with a mixture of awe and curiosity. "How do you do it?" she asked. "You seem to know exactly what's going to happen before it happens." Leora smiled faintly, brushing a lock of hair from her glowing eyes. "It's part of me," she said. "Human, yes, but part dragon too. We can sense danger, feel movements, and act faster than others can react." Suddenly the alarms blared again. The remaining attackers had regrouped outside the hangar, preparing a larger strike. They had called reinforcements, armed with advanced weapons and heavy armor. Leora's eyes narrowed. "They don't know what they're walking into," she said. Her dragon mom growled low in her throat, wings tensing. Leora felt the power beneath her hand, the raw strength of her mother combined with her own hybrid instincts. Together they were a force the attackers had never expected. The first wave entered through the main hangar doors. Energy weapons glowed and blaster fire lit the hall. The pilots fired back, but the attackers were moving fast, coordinated, and well-armed. Leora stepped forward, small but confident, directing the humans with precise gestures and shouted commands. "Left flank. Watch the ceiling. Cover the back." Her hybrid senses allowed her to anticipate the attackers' moves, giving the pilots an advantage. The dragon mom roared and surged forward, knocking aside two heavily armored intruders. Leora leapt onto her back, feeling the strength beneath her. "Focus on the weak points," she shouted. The dragon twisted midair, swinging her tail with devastating precision. One of the attackers' weapons was destroyed instantly. The pilots followed her signals, firing carefully and moving strategically. The attackers began to falter, surprised by the coordination of a small girl and a massive dragon. Leora's hybrid abilities became more visible as the battle raged. She could sense vibrations in the floor, detecting footsteps and movements before anyone else. Her reflexes were faster than any human's, allowing her to dodge blasts and leap over obstacles effortlessly. She guided the pilots through narrow spaces, around pillars and behind cover, using her combined knowledge of human tactics and dragon instincts. Every movement was calculated, every action precise. The attackers tried to regroup, forming a tighter formation near the cargo area. Leora noticed the pattern instantly. "They're grouping. Split them apart," she shouted. The dragon mom surged forward, creating a whirlwind with her wings. Pilots charged through the gaps Leora had created, taking down attackers one by one. The combination of hybrid instincts, dragon power, and human ingenuity proved unstoppable. One of the attackers tried to take Leora by surprise, aiming a laser directly at her. Her dragon mom saw it first and swiped the enemy away, sending him crashing into a stack of crates. Leora rolled to the side, her small claws digging into the metal floor, and quickly signaled the pilots to attack from behind. The enemy was trapped, unable to escape the coordinated assault. The hangar echoed with roars, energy blasts, and metal clashing. Leora darted from spot to spot, keeping track of the remaining attackers, guiding the pilots and anticipating the next move. Her hybrid abilities allowed her to communicate silently with her dragon mom, using subtle gestures and body language. The dragon responded immediately, understanding exactly where to strike, which targets to block, and when to defend Leora. The attackers began to panic. Their reinforcements were no match for the combination of human strategy and hybrid instinct. Leora noticed the leader, a heavily armored alien with glowing eyes, trying to coordinate a counterattack. "Take him down. Now," she shouted. The dragon mom charged, knocking the leader off his feet while Leora guided the pilots to surround him. The leader fired energy blasts wildly, but Leora's quick thinking and the dragon's defensive movements kept everyone safe. Finally, the leader was captured, restrained by the pilots. The remaining attackers fled, realizing they could not win against this strange combination of courage, intelligence, and dragon power. Leora stood at the center of the hangar, breathing heavily but triumphant. Her dragon mom lowered her massive head, nuzzling her gently. "You've done it, my daughter," she said, voice rumbling with pride. "You've shown them what it means to face a hybrid." Leora smiled, her amber eyes glowing softly. "We did it together," she replied. The pilots gathered around, looking at her with awe. "I've never seen anything like this," one said. A small human girl directing a massive dragon and an entire team of pilots. Incredible. Leora blushed but felt proud. Her hybrid abilities had given her an edge, yes, but it was courage, intelligence and quick thinking that had won the day. The hangar, once chaotic and dangerous, was quiet now. Sparks from damaged panels flickered softly, and the smell of burned metal filled the air. Leora helped the pilots secure the remaining weapons, guiding them to check every corner. Her dragon mom flexed her wings, testing her strength now that she was free and ready to fight again. Leora climbed onto her back, feeling the raw power beneath her and whispered, "We are ready for whatever comes next." As night fell outside, the hangar lights cast long shadows. Leora stood with her dragon mom and the pilots, knowing that they had proven something important. Humans, even a small hybrid girl, could turn the tide of battle with courage, intelligence, and the ability to work together with beings far stronger than themselves. The hybrid advantage had won the fight, showing that instinct, strategy, and heart could defeat even the most organized enemies. Leora realized that her unique heritage was not just about powers, it was about connection. Her dragon mom trusted her completely, the pilots followed her guidance, and even the attackers had underestimated her because of her size. But she had shown that bravery, skill, and hybrid insight could create something unstoppable. The hangar quieted further, and Leora looked around at her mother and the pilots. "We are a team," she said softly, voice firm. The dragon mom rumbled in agreement. "Together, nothing can defeat us." Sparks still flickered from damaged consoles and smoke curled from broken panels, but Leora felt ready for anything. She had learned the value of instinct, strategy, and trust, and now she was ready to face the challenges the galaxy would throw at her. Her amber eyes glowed brighter as she took a deep breath. "Let's show them what humans and hybrids can do," she whispered. The dragon mom stretched her wings, the pilots gathered, and together they prepared for the next wave of danger, stronger and smarter than before. Leora knew the hybrid advantage was real, and it had just begun to show its power in the galaxy. The hangar was quiet, but the air was heavy with smoke and the smell of scorched metal. Leora stood beside her dragon mom, whose massive body trembled from the earlier battle. Though the attackers had been pushed back, her mother was injured. Several scales were cracked and deep gashes ran along her powerful limbs. Leora knelt beside her, her amber eyes filled with worry. "We need to fix you, Mom. You can't fight if you're hurt," she whispered. The pilots gathered around, offering medical kits and tools salvaged from the hangar. Mara, the tall pilot who had admired Leora's bravery, stepped forward. "We can help stabilize her," she said. Leora nodded. "I know how to heal her too. Watch closely, I'll guide you." Using a mix of human knowledge and dragon instincts, Leora began examining each wound. Her small hands moved carefully, pressing on bruised areas and applying cooling gels to reduce pain. The dragon rumbled softly, lowering her head so Leora could reach her. Her mother's breathing was heavy, but she trusted her daughter completely. "Careful with the wing," the dragon mom said, her voice low but steady. Leora's fingers traced the damaged membrane gently, applying a paste made from scavenged medical supplies and crushed minerals from the hangar floor. "This will help it heal faster," she explained to the watching pilots. The pilots were impressed. None of them had seen a human work with a dragon so skillfully. Leora's hybrid heritage gave her a special connection to her mother. She could sense pain, tension, and weakness, adjusting her care instinctively. She whispered instructions to the pilots as they assisted, guiding them to hold splints in place or apply bandages over tough scales. Slowly, her dragon mom began to relax, her breathing easing with each careful touch. Hours passed and the hangar seemed to calm around them. Leora worked tirelessly, cleaning wounds, reinforcing damaged scales with improvised bandages, and even feeding her mother small nutrient packs she had prepared. The dragon mom's strength began to return bit by bit. She lifted her head, testing her limbs. "Better?" she rumbled softly, nuzzling Leora. "You've done well, my daughter." Leora smiled, relieved to see her mother regaining power. The pilots helped set up a small training area within the hangar. Leora wanted her mother to regain full strength before another attack could come. She led her mother through gentle stretches, watching as the dragon flexed her wings, tail, and claws carefully. The hybrid girl guided each movement, teaching her mother to balance power with caution. Even minor exercises caused sparks to fly from the dragon's scales, lighting the hangar like tiny stars. Leora demonstrated a simple breathing exercise, teaching her mother to focus energy and steady her heart rate. The dragon followed, inhaling deeply then exhaling in a controlled way. Mara and the other pilots observed quietly, amazed at the human girl's confidence and skill. She's teaching a dragon to recover, and it's working, Mara said softly. Leora nodded without looking up. It's not just healing. It's learning how to fight again. By the second day, the dragon mom was moving more freely. Leora guided her through short bursts of flight inside the hangar. The ceiling was high enough to allow careful maneuvers, and the dragon rose and hovered, shaking off fatigue. Leora cheered softly, clapping her small hands. Good. You're strong again. Her mother roared lightly, a sound full of pride and gratitude. The pilots cheered too, realizing how vital Leora's hybrid connection had been. As they rested, Leora tended to smaller wounds, pressing healing gels into scales and using her claws to adjust bandages precisely. The dragon mom leaned into each touch, trusting her daughter completely. You are more than human, she said softly. You are part of me, part dragon and part courage. You've saved me as much as I've saved you. Leora's amber eyes glimmered. We save each other, she replied. While healing continued, the hangar security remained alert. Mara reported occasional movements outside, suggesting the remaining attackers had not given up. Leora prepared for this possibility, teaching her mother how to anticipate ambushes, how to move quietly, and how to strike with precision. The hybrid girls' instincts allowed them to plan for attacks that the pilots could not yet predict. We'll be ready next time, Leora said firmly, her voice echoing with confidence. The dragon mom's strength returned steadily. Her wings spread fully, claws flexed sharply, and her roar now echoed powerfully through the hangar. Leora stood beside her, small but fearless, feeling the energy from her mother and her own hybrid abilities. Together they were unstoppable. The pilots watched, realizing that this human girl had turned a potentially disastrous situation into a demonstration of skill, courage, and innovation. Leora's eyes scanned the hangar continuously. Check the south entrance, she instructed one pilot. Secure the equipment over there, she told another. Her hybrid instincts, combined with careful observation, allowed them to fortify the hangar against future threats. The dragon mom followed her cues, creating natural barriers with her tail and wings, guiding the pilots to positions of advantage. By the third day, the dragon mom was nearly fully recovered. Leora climbed onto her back, feeling the immense power beneath her. You're ready, she said softly. The dragon lowered her massive head, letting her daughter steady herself. Together we are ready, she rumbled. Leora nodded, knowing that the next attack, whenever it came, would test them again, but they would face it as a team. The hangar, once damaged and chaotic, now hummed with life and preparedness. The pilots admired the transformation and the bond between the hybrid girl and her dragon mother. Leora had not only healed the physical wounds but strengthened the spirit and trust between them. The dragon mom now moved with confidence, fully aware of her regained strength. As night fell, Leora and her dragon mom rested side by side in the hangar. Leora's small hand rested on her mother's warm scales. We're ready, Mom, she whispered. No one will hurt you again. The dragon mom rumbled in agreement, wrapping a wing around her daughter protectively. The pilot stood nearby, quietly respecting the strength and unity of the pair. Outside, the stars twinkled in the sky, and the hangar remained alert but calm. Leora had proven that courage, intelligence, and connection could overcome even the deadliest threats. Her hybrid abilities had guided her mother's recovery, turning fear and injury into strength and preparation. The hangar was ready and so were they. Leora's amber eyes glowed as she looked up at the ceiling, feeling the energy of her dragon mom and the determination of the pilots. The next challenge will come, she whispered. But we will face it together, stronger than ever. Her mother rumbled in agreement, and together, human and dragon, they prepared for the final battle. The hangar was alive with tension as the first signs of the final attack appeared. Leora stood beside her dragon mom, her amber eyes glowing with focus. The pilots were in position, weapons ready, but it was clear this would be their toughest fight yet. Outside the reinforced hangar doors, shadows moved, dozens of attackers, armed and determined, prepared to strike. Leora's small hands clenched. This time we finish it, she whispered, her voice steady. Her mother rumbled low in agreement, wings flexing, ready to defend and attack. The doors burst open and the attackers poured in. Energy weapons blazed, illuminating the hangar in bright flashes. Leora darted forward, agile and fearless, directing the pilots with precision. Flank left. Cover the right. Protect the center, she shouted. The dragon mom surged forward, swinging her massive tail and sending attackers tumbling. Sparks flew from broken panels as energy blasts collided with metal, but Leora moved between the chaos, small and quick, using her hybrid instincts to anticipate enemy movements. The attackers tried to regroup, forming a tight formation near a stack of cargo. Leora noticed their strategy instantly. "Split them. Divide and conquer," she shouted. The Dragon Mom roared, charging into the middle of the group, knocking several off balance. The pilots followed Leora's signals, targeting attackers who were momentarily exposed. Every move was calculated, blending human strategy, hybrid intuition, and dragon power. The attackers had not expected such coordination from a small girl and her massive dragon. One of the leaders, a heavily armored alien with a glowing energy blade, tried to approach Leora. She dodged swiftly, her reflexes faster than any humans, leaping over debris and sliding under obstacles. The Dragon Mom intercepted the leader, knocking him backward with a swipe of her tail. Leora used the opening to signal the pilots to surround him. "Now, pin him down," she yelled. The pilots moved quickly, restraining the enemy with precision. The leader roared in frustration, realizing he had underestimated the small hybrid girl. As the battle continued, Leora's hybrid powers became more apparent. She could sense vibrations in the floor, hear the smallest movements, and anticipate attacks before they happened. Her amber eyes glowed brightly as she guided the Dragon Mom and pilots like a commander, orchestrating every move. She darted from one position to another, giving instructions, dodging fire, and using her instincts to predict the enemy's next steps. Her courage inspired the pilots, who moved with renewed confidence. The Dragon Mom spread her wings, creating powerful gusts that knocked attackers off their feet. Leora climbed onto her back, signaling directions with sharp gestures. The pilots moved with her signals, attacking strategically, disabling weapons and cutting off escape routes. One attacker tried to flank them from above, but Leora anticipated it. "Above. Watch the ceiling," she shouted. The Dragon Mom lunged upward, claws extended, and the intruder fell, stunned. Chaos and energy flashes filled the hangar, but Leora remained calm. Her mind worked quickly, combining human logic with dragon instincts. She directed the pilots to block exits, secure weak points, and protect each other. Every step, every signal was perfectly timed. The attackers were overwhelmed, unable to predict the movements of a hybrid girl and a dragon working in perfect harmony with the pilots. The remaining attackers tried to regroup near the hangar's central console. Leora spotted the group instantly. "We end this now," she shouted. The Dragon Mom surged forward, tail swinging, wings beating powerfully. Leora guided the pilots to strike from all sides, coordinating attacks that left the enemies confused and vulnerable. Sparks flew as energy weapons clashed with metal and scale, but the combination of hybrid instincts, dragon strength, and human strategy proved unstoppable. One by one, the attackers were defeated or captured. Leora moved quickly among them, guiding the pilots to ensure no one escaped. Her small size allowed her to slip through spaces and direct the action from angles the enemies could not anticipate. The Dragon Mom roared triumphantly, a sound that shook the hangar and echoed through the metal beams. The remaining attackers froze, realizing they had been outsmarted and overpowered. Finally, the last enemy leader, a heavily armored figure with advanced energy tech, faced Leora and her Dragon Mom. He swung his blade, aiming to strike her, but Leora ducked quickly. Her Dragon Mom lunged, knocking him to the ground with a swift and powerful strike. The pilots moved in, restraining him securely. The hangar fell silent except for the labored breathing of the Dragon Mom and the hum of the ship's systems. Leora climbed onto the Dragon Mom's back, her small hands resting on the powerful scales. "It's over, Mom," she whispered, relief flooding her voice. Her mother lowered her head, nuzzling her gently. "Thanks to you, Leora. Your courage, your instincts, you've shown them what humans and hybrids can do." Leora smiled, exhausted but proud. "We did it together," she replied. The pilots gathered around, silent but impressed, realizing that bravery and intelligence had turned the tide. The hangar, once a place of fear and destruction, now hummed with a quiet energy. Sparks flickered from damaged panels, but the threat had passed. Leora and her Dragon Mom stood at the center, a symbol of strength, courage, and teamwork. The pilots looked on, knowing they had witnessed something extraordinary. A small hybrid girl had led them through chaos and danger, proving that humanity's courage, intelligence, and ability to bond with other beings were unmatched. Outside the hangar, the twin moons shone brightly, casting soft light across the scene. Leora's amber eyes glowed as she surveyed the hangar, taking in the damage and the victories. "We've protected the hangar, and we've shown them that we won't be intimidated," she said. The Dragon Mom rumbled in agreement, stretching her wings fully, ready for whatever challenge might come next. The pilots, inspired by Leora's leadership, began repairing the hangar, securing the area, and checking the ship systems. Mara, the tall pilot, approached Leora. "You've changed the way we see humans," she said. "Even a child can lead and win if they have courage and heart." Leora blushed slightly but felt a surge of pride. She knew it was not just bravery, it was determination, intelligence, and the bond with her dragon mom that had made them unbeatable. As the hangar settled into calm, Leora and her dragon mom shared a quiet moment. Leora rested her head against her mother's neck, feeling the warmth and strength beneath her. "No one will hurt you again," she whispered. Her mother's rumble was deep and approving. "We've proven it today," she said. "Together we are unstoppable." Leora looked around at the pilots, her team, and the hangar. She realized that humanity's true strength was not just in weapons or technology, it was in courage, heart, and the ability to form connections across species. Her hybrid abilities had been a gift, but it was her determination and leadership that had made the difference. As dawn approached outside the hangar, Leora stood beside her dragon mom, ready for whatever the galaxy might throw at them next. The pilots, once unsure and hesitant, now stood with respect and admiration. They had witnessed firsthand that humans, especially a small hybrid girl with heart and courage, could face impossible odds and emerge victorious. The hangar, once a battlefield, now symbolized hope, unity, and humanity's edge. Leora's amber eyes glowed with determination as she whispered softly, "We'll face the next challenge, Mom. Together." Her dragon mom lowered her head in agreement, wings stretching wide, while the pilots looked on silently, knowing they had been part of something extraordinary. And so, in the quiet after the battle, Leora, the hybrid girl, stood with her dragon mom and the pilots, ready to protect the hangar, the galaxy, and each other. Humanity's courage had triumphed, and the legend of a small girl leading a massive dragon and an entire team of pilots would echo across the stars. They had faced the impossible, and they had won.